Sometimes the hardest battles we fight are the ones no one else sees. The mornings when your alarm goes off and your body feels heavy. The days when the motivation you had last week has evaporated. The moments when staying consistent feels almost impossible. And yet, those small moments, the ones that seem insignificant, are the ones that shape your future the most. That's why learning how to stay consistent, even when you don't feel like it, is one of the greatest skills you can ever develop. Not because it makes you perfect, but because it makes you steady. And steady people change their lives. Steady people build a life they're proud of. Steady people rise even when today doesn't feel like a rising kind of day. If there's one idea I want you to hold on to as you listen, it's this. Consistency isn't about feeling ready. It's about showing up anyway. And the moment you learn how to show up when your motivation is low, you become unstoppable. Think about how many times you've convinced yourself that you'll start tomorrow, or next week, or once life settles down. We've all done it. But there's a quiet truth most people overlook. It's the small, boring, ordinary repetitions that build extraordinary results. James Clear put it well when he said, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." And those systems, those small steps, only function when you show up repeatedly. Today we're going to talk about how to do exactly that. How to be consistent, not just when you feel inspired, but especially when you don't. The first principle is simple. Lower the barrier to action. Most people fail at consistency because they set the bar so high that even a good day can't reach it. They expect perfect workouts, perfect schedules, perfect focus, perfect discipline. But perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. There's a reason the phrase simple wins resonates with so many people. When the step is small, you remove the excuses. Instead of a full hour at the gym, commit to 5 minutes. Instead of writing a chapter, write a paragraph. Instead of overhauling your whole morning routine, start by making your bed. Small steps don't feel impressive, but they build trust with yourself. And trust is the foundation of consistency. Show your brain that you follow through, even on the small stuff, and it becomes easier to follow through on the big stuff too. It works just like physical momentum. Once the ball's rolling, it takes less effort to keep it going. The second principle is removing friction. Every habit you want to build has something that makes it harder than it needs to be. Sometimes it's physical friction. Your running shoes upstairs, your workspace cluttered, your journal in another room. And sometimes it's emotional friction. Overthinking, worrying about failing, comparing yourself to others. Whatever the friction is, identify it and cut it down. Make the action easier. Prepare the night before. Lay out your clothes. Put your phone away. Create a space where doing the right thing becomes the convenient thing. There's a quote by Benjamin Franklin that says, "You may delay, but time will not." The more friction you leave in your life, the easier it becomes to delay. But when you remove friction, doing the thing becomes so simple that excuses lose their power. Another powerful principle is reframing your identity. Consistency becomes natural when it aligns with who you believe you are. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm lazy," or "I can never stick to anything," then every action you take reinforces that story. But stories can be rewritten. Identity is not a fixed sentence, it's a daily decision. Start calling yourself the person you want to become. Say, "I'm someone who shows up. I'm someone who keeps promises to myself. I'm someone who chooses growth even on hard days." Identity is like a compass. It shapes the direction you naturally move in. When you believe you are the kind of person who is consistent, your actions follow. That's why Gandhi's words ring so true. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. Change the belief, and you change the destiny. A fourth principle is building emotional resilience. Because let's be honest, consistency isn't just a matter of scheduling. It's a matter of emotion. Some days you don't feel confident. Some days you're overwhelmed. Some days you're tired. And that's normal. What matters is learning to act despite those feelings. Emotion is a visitor, not a ruler. Just because you don't feel motivated doesn't mean you can't act motivated. The people who succeed aren't the ones who feel good every day. They're the ones who act with purpose, even when the feeling isn't there. Think of it like driving through fog. You don't pull over and quit the journey. You slow it down, turn on your lights, and keep moving. Consistency is the same. Even small movement keeps you in the game. The next principle is understanding that your brain is wired to resist anything unfamiliar. When you try to change, your mind often pushes back, not because you're weak, but because your brain loves predictability. So when you tell yourself, I don't feel like it, what you're really saying is, this is unfamiliar, and my mind prefers comfort. Recognizing this takes the pressure off. It helps you see that resistance is normal. The key is remind yourself that the action you take today is training your brain to see this new habit as normal, familiar, and safe. With repetition, what once felt uncomfortable becomes automatic. That's how consistency works. Your brain slowly shifts from I have to force myself to this is just who I am. The sixth principle is tying your actions to your purpose. Motivation fades, but purpose endures. When you know why something matters, you can push through almost any resistance. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Who am I becoming by doing this? How does this small act contribute to the life I want? Suddenly the task isn't just a task. It becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Viktor Frankl once wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow." When your actions are connected to a deeper reason, consistency stops feeling like a chore. It becomes an expression of who you're becoming. Another key idea is focusing on the next step, not the whole journey. Overwhelm kills consistency. When you stare at the entire mountain, it's easy to feel like the climb is impossible. But the mountain is climbed one step at a time. The workout is done one repetition at a time. The book is written one sentence at a time. The transformation is created one choice at a time. Your only responsibility is the next action. Not all the actions, just the next one. When you focus on the next step, you create a sustainable rhythm. You move forward without burning out. You make progress without drowning in pressure. Simple focus, simple movement, simple wins. The eighth principle is embracing imperfection. You are not meant to be flawless. You are meant to be committed. Consistency does not mean never missing a day. It means never quitting. It means that if you fall off track, you get back on without shame or harshness. Think about how you would treat a friend who slipped up. You wouldn't tear them down. You would encourage them to try again. Treat yourself with the same compassion. Progress is not a straight line. It wiggles, it dips, it rises again. And every moment you choose to return to your path, you strengthen your resilience. You prove to yourself that you're not defined by setbacks, but by your willingness to rise after them. Another important principle is creating accountability. You don't have to do everything alone. Sharing your goals with someone you trust, joining a community, or tracking your progress can make a dramatic difference. Not because you're weak, but because humans thrive on connection. We're wired to support each other. And sometimes, having someone who believes in you on the days you don't believe in yourself is exactly what helps you stay consistent. Think of accountability as scaffolding. It supports you while you're building something stronger. You can also build consistency by anchoring your habits to existing routines. This is often called habit stacking. If you already brush your teeth every morning, add a small new habit right after it. If you drink water when you wake up, pair it with 2 minutes of stretching. Anchoring makes habits easier because your brain loves patterns. When one action becomes the trigger for another, you build a chain. And the longer the chain grows, the less likely you are to break it. Another principle is celebrating the small wins. Too many people wait until the big transformation to feel proud. But the truth is, the small victories matter just as much. Every time you show up, even for 5 minutes, you're winning. Every time you follow through, you're shaping your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're reinforcing your future. Celebration keeps your mind energized. It reminds you that progress is happening, even when growth is quiet. You also need to recognize that motivation is a cycle. It's not supposed to be high all the time. It rises, it falls, it returns. But consistency doesn't rely on motivation. It relies on structure. When your habits are tied to your identity, your purpose, and your systems, you don't have to wait for inspiration. You act because it's part of your life. And ironically, taking action often brings motivation back. Movement creates energy. Action creates clarity. Effort creates momentum. So instead of waiting to feel ready, let action lead. One of the most overlooked principles of consistency is rest. Not quitting, resting. You can't stay consistent if you're constantly drained. Rest is strategic, not lazy. It refuels your energy, resets your focus, and stabilizes your emotions. When you build intentional rest into your life, whether it's sleep, reflection, or quiet moments, you give yourself the strength to keep going. Think of rest as sharpening the axe. As Abraham Lincoln said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." Rest sharpens you. Another principle is removing the drama from discipline. Discipline doesn't need to be emotional. It doesn't need to feel like a heroic act. Sometimes the best approach is simply neutral. This is what I do. No negotiating, no bargaining, no overthinking. When brushing your teeth isn't emotional, you do it. When showing up becomes just another daily action, consistency becomes natural. Discipline becomes a quiet, steady rhythm in your life. You can also strengthen consistency by choosing your environment wisely. The people around you, the spaces you spend time in, and the influences you consume all shape your behavior. Surround yourself with people who value growth. Spend time in places that help you focus. Fill your mind with content that lifts you. Environment is a silent force. It nudges your behavior in powerful ways. The right environment makes consistency easier. The wrong one makes excuses louder. Another idea is practicing gratitude. It might seem unrelated to consistency, but gratitude shifts your perspective. When you're grateful for the opportunity to grow, you stop seeing habits as burdens. You start seeing them as privileges. Gratitude turns discipline into something meaningful. It reminds you that improvement is not an obligation, it's a gift. A final principle is remembering that consistency creates confidence, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel confident before they act. But confidence is built through repeated small proof. When you show up again and again, you begin to trust yourself. You start believing that you can rely on your own effort. And that belief becomes fuel. Consistency builds the kind of confidence that can't be shaken, because it's grounded in action, not wishful thinking. At the end of the day, consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed. It's about making small choices that stack up over time. It's about building a life on steady effort instead of fleeting inspiration. There will be days when you don't feel like it. That's okay. Those days are the ones that matter the most. Because when you show up on those days, when you take even the smallest step, you build a strength that lasts. So here's your reminder as you move forward from this moment. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. You don't need to have the whole plan. You just need to take the next step. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Your future is shaped in the quiet, ordinary moments when no one is watching. And every time you choose consistency, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. A stronger person, a more focused person, a more resilient person, a person who doesn't rely on motivation, but on purpose, a person who rises daily. Wherever you are right now, take a breath, reset, and choose one small action, one small step that moves you forward. That's how consistency is built. That's how transformation begins. And that's how you rise, even on the days you don't feel like it.